Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Clockedin with me, your host, Jordan Edwards. I'm thrilled to have you tune in as we dive into the dynamic world of productivity, success, and stories of incredible individuals who've mastered the art of getting things done. Whether you're commuting, hitting the gym, or just relaxing at home, this podcast is the go-to source for inspiration and actionable tips to level up your productivity game. I'm on a mission to unravel the secrets of those who seem to effortlessly manage their time and achieve their goals. So if you're ready to clock in and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. We've got a lineup of amazing guests, industry experts, and thought leaders who will share their insights and strategies to help us crush your to-do list and make the most out of every moment. Get ready to get inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools you need to supercharge your productivity. This is Clockedin with Jordan Edwards. Let's dive in. Hey, what's going on, guys? I got two special guests today. We have Helen and Hel from H2 Resolve, and they're here today. And the first question I'm going to ask them is something that they specialize in, which is, are we spending our time in the most efficient way? Are most businesses, startups, the Fortune 500 companies, are they using their time effectively?
We know that the answer to that is no. Why are you even having a podcast? Your listeners have problems, and they come from the how are you using your time or not using your time topic.
And I have developed over the years my own equation for time. So it's time equals impact. Basically, you have to think through everything that you do in your life. That is it creating enough impact so you could spend time on it, or the time that you have spent, does it bring you the impact that you really want? Because if you're like, you can always raise money, you can always earn more money. But what you can't get back, you cannot manipulate time, and you can never get the time back. So that's my own kind of equation that I always work with.
Yes, Helen, and I love that thought process. Just for the audience to realize is that when you're going from activity to activity and going, I'm so busy. This has been such a tough day. I'm handling so many things. Ask that question to yourself. Is this impactful time? Like, am I doing the most I can with my time? And you start to realize that a lot of the tasks we're doing, and as entrepreneurs, we kind of experience this where you start to price your different activities. Well, taking out the garbage, a $10 activity. You start thinking, do I have to do that anymore? There's different things in our life where we start to realize this, but it's also things that happen in our business. And it's things that happen in our lives. So my goal of this episode is for us to become more efficient with the use of our time and more efficient using some of these AI models. So Helen, for you, where did you come up with this time equals impact, and how did you even get involved in this?
So the first, I was working in Wise,
Previously TransferWise.
Previously TransferWise. So I worked in TransferWise, anyways, and I was in the first 100. I was among the first 100 employees, and I became very fast the training coordinator for the customer support. At the beginning, I had 30 people, and then in 5 years' time, I had 600 people that I was responsible for 600 people, and also the lead. And so it wasn't enough. So they gave me also the compliance. So I was like responsible for the customer support and compliance training. So, and finally they made me the global training lead. And then
yeah, and if you guys don't know, just because it's a very it's a global company, but like some of the US people might not have heard of it before. Wise, basically it's a transfer platform. It's very similar to like a PayPal or a Venmo or any of those where you can transfer money back and forth across different currencies. It's very globally used. So I just want to add that tidbit. You keep going.
Yes, and it's also cheaper. It's cheaper than any of these that you mentioned before. Way cheaper. So, and also very much more convenient. Even I have left the company, but I still feel very strongly for it. It taught us both
that's what we meant.
that impossible is possible, basically. And during that time, because we had to hire a lot of people in a month. So at some point there was like 40 people joining every month globally to customer support.
And all of them needed training and onboarding and
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And I was responsible for that. So I was literally like, at the first I didn't even have a team. I had a team only in the last year. I got my own team who helped me with that. So I had to really, really make sure that all my time is used well. And we were talking before with Hel that about how I was saying yes to, how I was learning to say no. So
Yes.
I hate saying no, because I'm just kind of this weird perfectionist who everything needs to be done, and everything needs to be done. But then
does it have to be you?
But does it have to be me? Well, that's a good question. So I learned a way how to also say it's still time spent equals impact, where I saw that, well, it's not really the thing where I can offer the biggest impact. So I said, like, yes, let's meet, but I have a free time in 2 weeks time or in 3 weeks time in here. So let's make a meeting here. And if you still need me, then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do this. So in that way, I also made sure that most of the things got resolved in a few weeks' time. So like when I met with those people, I still met with them. They told me a success story or a failure story. Like, all right, it didn't really actually work out.
But we at least did something.
Yes, but we did something. And then it was very nice. And sometimes I had to jump in and have to fix it. But I didn't have to say even no anymore. I could always say, yes, but later.
And yeah, and I think that's such a valuable skill, because you start to realize what ends up happening with those people is that they have to figure out the solution on their own.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, I'm not going to wait for her for 2 weeks. Like, that's crazy. I'm going to try this out. And then they start to get belief in themselves, because a lot of the times as we get more higher up, higher level, we actually have to start believing more in our people and making sure the people are good instead of us doing all the work, because you can't conceptually do all the work. Like, someone actually has to do the work. Someone has to manage the people. Someone has to do these different things. And a lot of the time we're like, I can do everything. And it's like, just ask for help. And we don't do that sometimes.
It's hard. I actually did this that across different companies. I made sure my team saw me fail on purpose.
Yes.
In small ways, like things that were like completely salvageable and they weren't going to cause a big issue. But I showed off failure. Sometimes I failed on purpose. Like when I had a new team lead, I was a lead of leads. And when I had a new team lead who was kind of new to the job and didn't have the confidence and wanted to be perfect in everything and wouldn't ask for help and like just completely like, wasting time because they were trying everything on their own without asking for help when necessary. In front of those, like I would show them something that I'm doing, and I would make a mistake. I would make a small mistake that's not going to have big business impact, but I wanted them to see that their boss can make mistakes. And then, oops, this happened. Well, let's go and fix it. Let's try this, let's try that. And that was a bigger impact than, telling people that, hey, it's okay to ask for help. And, if you need to do something that's new, let's try it anyway, because people wouldn't take risks if they were afraid of failure. But like modeling that failure is possible gave them confidence, gave them more courage that if my boss can fail, then I can try things. It was harder in Japan because Japanese work culture is very much on like never fail in anything and just don't try. If it's possible to fail, just don't try or make sure somebody else is responsible. But then if you hire the right people in Japan, I mean, I got hired in Japan because I'm not Japanese in that sense that everything has to be perfect and let's make sure there's rules about everything. Then,
Yeah, absolutely. Because it makes me think about, I'm standing there, there's 2 roads to pick, right? You pick right or left. If you don't pick, you just stand there.
Yes.
If you pick right and then you're like, oh, wrong way, turn around, you go left. If you pick left, you're like, this is the right way. We're just going to go
Mhm.
this way.
Mhm.
But what people don't realize is if with that indecision
Mhm.
or that no decision, that's still a decision, but they're just not doing anything about it. So when you make a no decision, that means that we're just not going in that direction anymore. We're not even going to try anymore. And people have to realize that also the other big thing is nothing anyone does is really that big of a deal. Like unless it's brain surgery, it's like we're just here trying. And the more reps you get, the better perspectives you get, the more you understand things, the more insights you have, the better you'll get. The other major thing is that comes down to decision making. So, Hel, I know you focus a lot on AI support and the different systems. And when you make decisions, is it better? Like, would it make more sense to have the AI explain the model and do a lot of the thinking, and then you kind of work through those ideas? How are you seeing AI in today's world?
So AI solves one of the biggest issues that I've seen, which is the empty page problem. You don't know where to
The
start.
right the writer's block.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you explain what you're trying to do, and then it will give you a first draft, and you can start tweaking that and making that better, and bringing it to something that's bigger than what you get off just copy paste. Uh, it's it takes away the starting hurdle that I don't know how to start. You just
Yes.
describe what you want, and then you get something that's kind of okay. Sometimes it even like, oh, I could work with this, but you're not stuck staring at an empty page. I mean, I've done this in a team where they told me that, oh, you need to hire, for scaling in the next 6 months, your team should be 10 people, and then you should, in a year, it will be 20, 30 people. And we didn't need to do that because I had people who were very smart and well chosen, this was right around when ChatGPT started out and like became possible for public to use. And I didn't need to hire 10 people to write up all the things for like okay, I can't tell you complete details, but let's just say, like, imagine, like, you need to write FAQs. It takes a
Yeah.
couple of people to, like, if it's a big company and a lot of products and the knowledge, it's gonna be it's a job to start from scratch or even to edit it and so on. It's sometimes even a team that does that.
Mhm.
But we could do it with one person because you have AI that does the grunt work and the person who just makes sure that it works out. Like most customer support companies right now are putting in a lot of hours into implementing AI if they haven't have it live already. Like it's a no-brainer. You don't
Yeah.
need people
Yeah.
copy pasting monkey work.
A
Yeah.
100%. And what is monkey work?
Well,
Mm. It's the work where how to say. So most of the customer support is like
repeat work.
repeat work. You write the same kind of emails to to the same kind of issues that can actually
Yes.
be solved with different ways anyway, or fixing the product, or like there's hundreds of ways. But from the customer support representative side, what is a monkey work? To be writing those emails and continuously sending them. So
It's copy paste.
Copy paste. So so this is what AI could do for you. You don't need this. You don't need people pushing buttons or filling up forms. You don't need those people. And this is so weird because back in the day when I was working in another company as well, like they said that, so we need someone to fill out those Excel sheets. I'm like, why? A person, like an employee, is the most expensive responsibility a company could have. This is what I'm actually telling. And you have to take care of your people. You have to pay them like what they're worth, what their brain is worth, not what their like finger can like do. And
Yeah.
this is insane. And AI will is fixing this problem for us. So yeah, now it's like you can remove
Yeah, and it's a completely different idea. So when you think about repetitive work in your day to day, like I was actually just on with the credit card company. So I called up the bank, and what does the bank do? They authenticate you with their AI. They're like, what is your numbers? So you're typing in all the numbers because that's a repetitive task.
Yeah.
What is the question you're interested in? Are you interested in redeeming awards? Are you interested in a payment? Are you interested in this? And then they kind of position you in what lane you want to go in. And then you click the button, and then they're like, the operator will show up there in whatever time. Because by the time it gets to the operator, it's more like, hey, I'm looking to travel here to here. How do I do that? It's a more advanced task. But the calling someone saying, what is your card number? Is That's a lot of time. And people don't realize that every employee hired, you're paying them
Mhm,
whatever their hourly wage is. So
mhm.
like some of these softwares are like $20 a month, and they can do what an employee does in an entire month, and the employee's getting paid $20 an hour,
It's
and they
so
don't
much
get hired. It's kind of wild.
like what you're describing, IVR systems, where they, like what's your number and what's your problem, you press the buttons and so on. That's been around for a while. But right now you get to the operator. The operator doesn't have to be human. You don't know immediately if they're human. Like or not even just like who you're talking to, like Indian call centers that people would be, oh no, that person has an accent. I want to talk to somebody in the US. I want to talk to somebody in the UK. You have bots now that change accents. You could be talking to somebody in a call center in India and they will sound like they're in the US to you.
Wow. Wow. That's
Uh,
profound.
yeah, and there, uh, if you're on a chatbot in text, uh, I would say 90% likelihood right now you're not going to be able to talk to a human for the first 10 minutes, maybe five, because the bot can solve your problem if it's a repeat problem. And then a human steps in when they become valuable, when they
Are needed.
are needed. I mean, my uh, biggest consultancy thing that I will always say is don't look for solutions on how to automate repeat tasks as the end all. It's still a band-aid. You need to go one level deeper, go to the root. Why is a person asking this question over and over anyway? Like something in your product is broken if they keep asking the same question. Now you used to hire people to solve that problem. Your product was broken. You hired a person to be a band-aid to fill in the gap.
Answer their question. Yeah.
It got too expensive. You outsourced. You went to Philippines, India, wherever, where it's cheaper to have people fill in the gap. But if you really want to scale, if you want to make a company that solves a problem, gets big, has a lot of customers, then every problem that you have a band-aid for is going to get bigger and bigger, and you're going to need a bigger band-aid because the problems scale with customer growth. So how do you make sure that your product works well enough that you don't have this many band-aids that also scale into problematic areas? You don't need to hire 600 people. You don't need to outsource to 2,000 customer support agents and get big. Make it smart.
Fix your product, basically.
Absolutely. And when people don't realize is that as they get more customers, then they have to do more operational work. But that's not always true because, like you're saying, if you can get a chatbot to answer everyone's, like, think about how many jobs got removed just from that phone call where it's
Yeah.
like, can I take your number?
Yeah.
Like, that's hundreds of jobs. Like, it's wild. So, who is this hurting anyone, or does this provide opportunity? Like how are you guys thinking about this?
That's hard.
No, I personally think that at first it brings a lot of pain because there are a lot of people who are losing their jobs. They're used to doing their jobs. They're losing them, and especially they're like people who have been working forever in customer support, and this is good. We need those people, but the thing is that they also have to start developing and because it has been like the development has stopped at some point Because if you do the same job all the time, answering the same questions, your development stops.
Your brain is not evolved.
Yes. It's just it
Yes.
stops. So now this is where you have to come in, like where like those training people, development people have to come in and gently help those people who are scared, who are like in the verge of losing their job as it is, to actually evolve and get ready for the world that is today, and get out of the world that was yesterday without the AI. So I see, like, I always see opportunity in this. I like, as a people development like professional,
Yes.
I see always opportunity in that kind of situations. But I understand that a lot of people are very nervous about this because they are losing their jobs. But again, it's like, I think that the world is for thinkers, like it always had to be in, like, before as well. Like
Yeah.
during the Greek times already, like we always have been thinkers, and why it has stopped is also
Yes. No,
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Because when you really think about it, it's the major value from people is when they're independent thinkers. They come up with own ideas and they don't just agree and say yes to everything, because there's already way too much of that. So it's what are we going to do with everybody? But it's really how, because when you were explaining it, it really sounded like a mindset. So if people just switch their mindset to, wait, this isn't a problem, but it's now an opportunity. And I deal a lot with that with the coaching, where someone might see something as, this is my problem. And it's like, no, actually major opportunity here. And a lot of people just don't understand that. Like, I was just on the phone with someone. He was a 42-year-old guy, has like 5 kids, divorced, but he wasn't doing well financially. So he's moved in with his mom. And his mom is actually going through a big health scare kind of thing. And I was like, do you realize how many people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s have to go have their parents move in with them, or they move in with their parents, or bring them to a nursing home or something? And he's like, yeah, my goal down the line is to go buy a house. And I'm like, sounds like you're in a perfectly fine house right where you are. And like, then you can allocate the money because you get to spend time with your mom. You get to help her out. You also have the kids knowing the grandparents. And then you can also go out there and do more activities with the money you have. So the reason I say that is because there's so many ways we look at something, but we just need to adjust our angle slightly. And you're like, oh, opportunity. And that's what I'm hoping the audience is getting from this podcast. Because as we're talking about this, it can be a little scary, but at the same time, it's like, wait, what do I do that's repetitive?
Mhm.
How can I remove that? What do I do anything valuable? Like, and you start to ask these real authentic questions, and you're like, wait a second. If I can remove this, then I can become way more efficient.
Yep. Like AI is huge opportunity to get rid of the things that you do that's busy work, that you just do for the sake of doing it. And the hard part is to take the time and make the effort to think about what in your life actually is necessary to do and requires your human time, and what in your life needs to get done but doesn't have to get done by you. You now have the opportunity to have assistance. But it will come with loss of jobs, which might be the opportunity to have people get better jobs. We're in Europe, and I was recently involved in something with EU is gathering data on how much work people do day to day that they think is
Yes.
repetitive. So, EU is looking at how much hours are potentially going to be lost from the job market. And hopefully, we'll see at high government levels making plans that we are going to have this many extra hours that people are not being productive, that they are probably not going to be paid for. So whether that brings us universal basic income, the 4-day work week, like that would be the ideal, that people still get to live lives where they get paid, where they can afford to have a decent life, and maybe more free time. The unideal parts are, all these people are going to lose their jobs and the money will go to the companies that are now much more productive because they're using AI. And you might have some really bad times in some places where the governments are not looking at what to do with all the extra hours people are getting. I mean, the worst case scenario, I don't like some of the scientists who are working on building AI, thinking about there is an actual 10% chance that we're all gonna die. 10% is pretty big.
Oh my God.
No, it's 100% chance, Helen. You're gonna die anyway.
So make the best use of your time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 100% chance that you're gonna die.
But depending on how far AI gets developed, it can be very scary. Maybe we can stop before it gets too scary. I'm using it to make the most use of my time. I'm using it to help companies not hire as many people and scale big and offer great services to more and more people. But you can have bad actors like terrorists who are using AI to come up with very bad things. So it's a very weird time to be alive to see what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in my life in 3 years.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But the other thing that people don't realize is that if you want to start a business, or if you are starting a business, or if you have a side hustle or doing anything, you can become exponentially more effective, and you could be equivalent to what used to be. To give you guys an example, this podcast in general, I Zoom's been around for a while, but there's always been the record feature, and there probably wasn't a time, but it's been the record feature for quite some time. The issue is I would download the file and then I would upload it to my hosting platform, which is Buzzsprout. And Buzzsprout, for the longest time, would not write the description for me. So I would be going and trying to write the description. The description takes forever. It's difficult to do. About a year ago, they came out with this thing where it automates the description based on the audio file. And I'm like, thank you. I've been waiting on this. I'm like, podcast, good. Now I have a description that looks good. And then the other really cool thing is that they have the audio file, but it also creates a blog. So now I started a blog through my podcast where I just have to copy and paste and edit a little bit, but that's it. And then it has the clips where I got a new platform where I basically post the podcast video in, and I had someone hired prior to that would edit the podcast clips. But now, and I was paying him every single week, but now I just put it into the AI platform, edits it for me, and it saves so much time.
But you know what this person is doing now? The one you used to have hired to do this, yeah?
I don't know. But I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, in general, what really happened was he was getting, he just kept built, there was more anger and animosity about the way our relationship was going. And I was like, dude, all right, I'll look around for alternatives.
Yeah.
And you start to realize that when you're not treating people in a very human manner, understand people have lives. Just because someone misses a meeting doesn't mean you gotta get frustrated with people. You know what I mean? You got to be very understanding and get that there's a lot going on. But for you, the point you made up, Hel, is the fact that we might have more time to do the things that we actually love and enjoy. That's kind of eye-opening that could occur.
In my extra free time that I have received by not having to do all the things myself anymore, well, we both wrote a book, completely different books, not together, but I had time to write the book. I had inspiration. And I got it automatically edited into a good format instead of having to do nitty-gritty
Yes.
I'm a creative person. I want to make a solution happen, and I want to write the book. I don't want to formatting. I started an e-shop. It takes me so little time. It's just kind of running there in the background. It had setup cost, took a lot of time.
Yes.
But it doesn't. I have automations that do it for me.
So that is one of the things I want people to start looking at the frame of, and I call it an outsized return. And essentially what it is it's this idea of where you might have to put in a lot of effort, but then you never have to do the activity again. or it might be some sort of return where it just consistently does the thing. So, like, for example, there's like one in financial literacy where you might use a financial investing stock like a broker dealer, transfer the money, and it purchases the stock for you once a week.
Mhm.
If you did that activity and you never looked at it again, like that would change the trajectory of your life because it's compounding so much. So it's where in your life, with the audience, you should be asking, where in your life are you doing repetitive tasks that could be AI? Or I know that you guys talked about outsourcing a little bit. And like what even is outsourcing? What does that even mean?
Get someone else to do it for you who does it cheaper.
Basically. Yep.
Think about where you live, how much your time costs. Like what's the average salary? What does it cost you to spend an hour of your time trying to figure something out? Like, do you know what 1 hour of your time costs? Do you really know?
I mean, let's just use the example. Most people in the US, I think the average salary is like 54,000. So we'll say they're making like 25 bucks an hour. So
Okay.
let's use that for example.
You have plenty of places in the world where somebody smart is going to do it for $5 an hour. And I don't know how long we can do it because I've worked with companies, for example, who hire remote workers, extremely smart people from Nepal, Uzbekistan,
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan. And I worked personally with these people who are like massively intelligent and like they are probably earning one of the highest salaries where they're at. But for me, it was cheaper to hire them than it was to get somebody to do the same thing at maybe even less quality in the US. But more and more people are doing that because remote work is now a possibility, automation is possibility. So the top talent around the world is competing globally.
So
Uh,
yeah, and so that's what people don't understand, that when you the outsized return could be going and hiring someone.
mhm.
Like it very easily could. And there's like a lot of businesses where everyone's like, I have to keep every dollar I have. And it's like, no, like if you can alleviate a lot of stress for people and like they can do a lot of the stuff being done is like list building, it can do reach outs, it can do everything. And like if it's a simple repetitive task, someone else can do it for you, whether it's the AI or you're outsourcing. And a lot of the average salaries in some of these places are like $2 an hour or $1 an hour. And it's just like you're overpaying them and they're like very grateful for that opportunity. So and a lot of the websites, like there's like Upwork, some different ways for people to find them, but it's just you have to reach out, you got to talk to some people, but you start to realize you're like, well, wait a second, this might be really helpful for us.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, do your due diligence. I'm not going to name countries, but I have had job interviews where when I was initially starting out, I'm like, why do we do this? Like, you know, you ask the candidate to please take your computer and camera and show us around the room 360, show what's going on under your desk. And I'm like, why? That's just crazy. Like, why is this a necessity in hiring people? Until I saw that sometimes there's somebody under the desk, sometimes there's somebody sitting in a corner, like there's 6 people taking the interview. So this one person would get hired because one of them has great English speaking skills, but doesn't have great coding skills. The person who's the best coder cannot communicate well enough in English. So they're basically, 3 people applying for the same job together, and they will do that job, 3 of them, because the pay is still going to be better than what they could.
Yeah. Yes, and the other thing when starting out hiring, what a lot of people don't realize is that you don't have to hire them straight up for the exact salary. You could say, "Hey, I'd like you to do this project. I'll pay you the hourly wage for like 5 hours and like just come back to me and let me know what you think." Like just give them a project to see if they're timely, to see if they show up, to see if they can do it. And that's a great way to test people without investing too much money, from what
Yeah.
I found.
You did global training. You have so much experience with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, basically, what I'm actually telling that what we are doing in H2 Resolve as well, that we are also like this outsourced help, because I see that as like in training, when you're training people, you don't need to have a training team in your small company. but you need to train your people. You need those training plans. You need those things if you want to keep your people, and also the hiring plans. So that's where like companies like H2 Resolve can actually jump in, and there are many like us. You don't have to hire a person because, again, employees are very, very expensive.
So we bring up that point. Like, so there's some people that have in their companies get big enough, or they're at the point where they're like, this is also outsourcing work. Like, so it can be outsourcing to another country, but it can also be outsourcing, bringing a consultant in, and instead of going like, hey, to bring in a sales and training person, it might be $10,000 a month. Instead, we could sign a consulting deal where it might be 3,000, 5,000, whatever it is, and you can try to level it in. I'm just using made up numbers, but I'm using this example for like, if you guys think you need a lawyer, that's what you do when you get a lawyer. If you think you need anything, you bring in outside people until your company becomes big enough where it goes, we need this internally, and that will make a difference for us. But that's another salary that you got to count on.
Yeah.
So it's a little big difference.
I mean, that's why we started, because I kept getting hired and I'm expensive. And then I do something for like 1 or 2 months where I set things up and it's great. And then I wait for 6 months for customer growth to catch up for the next level of what I can do. And I spend those 6 months doing like the nitty gritty work and going to meetings and like, just it's not as impactful as I am capable of being, because we're waiting for the customer growth to catch up for the next level. But as a consultant, I come in, I do the 1-2 months of implementation and setting up your strategies. And then I go away and you don't pay me for those months while your customer growth is going to the next level. And then I come back and we do the next step. And then 6 months later, we do the next step, but you're not constantly paying me for answering emails.
I mean, this is fascinating because I know there's so many people who are like, wait, you don't want to take the free money? It's not boring. And you're like, well, I know what I'm capable of. And I also know what my skills are going to develop, because what people don't realize is that when you have the ability, when you do something more often, you get better at it. Whether you hate the activity or you love the activity, you get better at it. And the thing we start to realize is that as we're doing it more and more and more, so the fact that Helen can go into a company 1-2 months, 1-2 months, 1-2 months, instead of doing 1-2 months only twice a year, now they're doing it 7 times a year, 10 times a year, because they're getting so many more cuts. They're getting better as consultants. So they're getting more reps. And this comes down, I just want to share this point, because like anybody who's listening who believes that they could be good at something or believes that they need to find more value or impact, you just got to do it more. Everyone sucks in the beginning. So it's like, don't give up on yourself. I love that. So tell us more about H2 Resolve. What do you guys do and who do you help? And tell us what's going on there.
So we're a combo. Helen is training and development, and I'm more like tech and automation. And we have a bunch of, per project partners that come in depending on what's necessary. Like if you need more tech implementation, then we have someone for that. If you need like outsourcing, then bigger scale, we have someone for that. If you need enterprise implementation or outsourcing solutions or training, then we can do some part, but we have somebody for every scale that works with us. I would say I personally am good from before you go to market to maybe 100,000 customers. You are like maybe like we don't look at numbers of customers, we look at numbers of people.
So I would say 0 to 2,000 employees. So this is where I'm the strongest at. If you're getting over the 2,000, I don't have that much.
But we have partners for that.
Yes,
So,
we don't.
Yeah.
I don't. But I have partners.
Yeah.
And we specialize in customer support, but also like customer support is talking to people. So anything that is people training and automation related, we can help. Customer support, we can help you a lot.
Yes.
And the cool thing is that even you guys see how H2 Resolve runs, there's still subcontracting work because that's how business is. It's not we're doing everything, and they don't pride themselves on doing everything. They go, here's my sweet spot, here's your sweet spot. If you land in the sweet spot, awesome. If you land outside the sweet spot, awesome as well, because we know other people. So it's this real understanding that like once you implement these systems into your life, you're not the run around, try to grab every ball there is. It's choose what you're good at, bring in others to help you. And I think that's such a impactful thing that really allows people to understand what they're doing. So for you guys, I know we got a couple more minutes, but how do you think people should be viewing time? I know we talked about it a little bit, but like, what is the best use of people's time? Like, what should that look like? Like we said, no repetitive task. Like what should really that best use of time look like for people? Or what's it look like for you if you could just speak for yourselves?
For me, it is exactly the same. That what like how much time I spend and what impact does it bring me. It's just, let's take just like physical training. Like I started to go to kickboxing. So at first I did just once a week, but then I already saw like this once a week, an hour a week, what impact did it bring to my life? It was enormous. So
You should see her guns.
Yes, I removed something else from my life that wasn't that impactful, and I added another training. So I do it twice a week now because I see like the benefits. I see how much impact it has on my whole life, and that's why I made more of it. And I removed something. So it's
Yeah, it's the outside return. I literally do the same thing with there's a Muay Thai gym that's like down the street from me, and I do it Tuesday, Thursdays at 6 a.m. Eastern time. And shout out South Tampa Muay Thai. But the reason I do that is because it forces me to wake up, and then also you have a fantastic day. Like you're already working out at 6, you're done by 7, shower, whatever, but you have the endorphins and you're going good all day long. And people don't realize how valuable that is, especially when you have that like forced accountability, and then you're learning a new skill on top of that. It really is. I'm glad you explained that because I was sitting there and I'm like, impact, like, what does she think about time with her family? Like, is family time impact? Like, but I
yeah.
love how you gave that example because everything's impact. And it's like, what's the most powerful thing we can be doing? I love that.
And just one last thing. If you strip everything away, what is the most important thing in your life? It's your health. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, there is nothing else. If you don't have health, you'd have nothing.
Actually, I was gonna just say that. The most impactful thing you can do is fix your health because you will be better at everything else you do. I personally, 30 kilos is about 60 pounds. I've lost 60 pounds. I completely diet.
Congratulations.
I'm massively active in I go swimming almost every day. I have walking competitions. I do a lot of physical activity, but I completely changed my diet and I took out things that were making my brain slow. And I'm a smart cookie. I've done a lot, even when I was fat. But how my brain works after taking out all the things that I was eating that were really literally slowing me down, I can do more every day. Not because I have more hours, but because I fill more hours with more quality.
Yes. And I think this would be really valuable as we're winding down. How did you guys prioritize your schedules? Because I know you guys, I remember talking to you guys in the pre-call, and you guys have it's very different than the US. Like, how do you think about, yeah, that's basically the premise. It's different. So I just want to share that because you guys are in Estonia, and what do you guys, what's that schedule, work-life balance? How do you think about all that?
I'll interject that Estonia is not quite as France and Portugal, Europe. We don't take all of August off. We are very strong in work ethic and making sure that we do what we promise, but the hours don't matter.
Yeah. And also with Helen, what we have as well is that I have led a team actually in Tampa. So my so I actually have led people in US. I've hired in US. So I actually have I have an experience working in US, hiring and
in Tampa
and in leading in people in Tampa. so yeah, we actually have that experience.
It is different.
It is very different.
Yeah, the Tampa Wise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low key, I didn't realize this. I'm just bringing this up now, but like where I live, it's around the corner from me. I didn't know what Wise was
Yeah.
until I was traveling. I traveled Europe for 7 weeks and I was in Paris. And the guy's like, yeah, to get the deposit, like I need you to send me like this amount of money for a deposit on my apartment. I'm like, bro, I don't know how to send you euros or pounds or whatever you want. I don't know how to send it to you. And he's like, well, can you just do a wire? I'm like, I don't think I can wire outside the US bank account. He's like, use Wise. And I used the Wise and I was like, I just sent it to him. Money came back right after. I'm like, no, it was the first time, so there were no fees. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
This is good.
But our work approach, and I think that's a lot of Estonia and maybe Germany. Okay, maybe Germany is a bit more rules oriented like Japan, but we make sure that you get what you paid for. You get the impact, you get the implementation of a new system, you get your people trained, you get people hired. We will hire X amount of people for you, we will train them for you, we will implement new systems, new automations, we'll make sure you have a bot that works, we can do a lot of things. And that's what you pay for. You don't pay for the hours that we work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I got into consulting, because I don't want to sit like but hours of like
Yes.
I have to be here from
Waste hours. Yeah, yeah, no, it's waste hours. And it's really how do you make the most of that time, which is super important. But a lot of people do that entrepreneur because they're like, I want to be able to go to my kid's soccer game. Like I want to be able to, I don't need to like sit at a desk for no reason. So it's super important.
and
And I think that's, yeah.
I will offer you that we will build you this system, and the cost of the building of the system is going to be 10,000. And if it takes me 2 hours, that's expensive 2 hours, but you get your system. If it takes me 200 hours, then that's the time I spend on it, but you still get your system. So,
But yeah, so that point is super important. Like I said, when you guys outsource anyone, like whether you try them out or do anything, because I think we have an interesting thing coming up. Um, you should start project based because
yeah,
then it's not an hourly wait. Like it's not, hey, you got to do this for so many. It's do this activity, do however many hours it takes. Good. I don't care. It's like when the plumber comes, fix the toilet. How much is the toilet? I don't know. It's like he's not like I'm billing you for the hours. It's one price.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you want to leave the audience with, guys?
I would actually say that well, one of the things is the offer, but the other thing is that that impact is everything that makes you healthy and makes you happy. I don't think it's not a goal. It's but yeah. So you were also talking about you are also asked about this like this impact, like what is impactful? Is it like spending time with your family? But I also think that whatever is important to you is impact.
Yes,
In impact.
I love that.
What you intrinsically need, you have to put yourself first, because if you don't put yourself first and your needs, no one will be happy.
Absolutely.
So this is one of the parts, yeah, that I wanted just to add into that.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love that. And then Hel, for you, any last points?
It's not impossible until you try it. You don't actually know it's impossible if you never tried it. And sometimes it happens that you manage to do something that everybody tells you is impossible, and that will click you. You do that once, you meet your ripples, like when you throw a rock and you see where it goes and how far and wide it goes, and you are a changed human, because they cannot take away the knowledge that you managed to do something that was impossible. You managed to do something that impacted. You managed to do something that touched a lot of lives. You see your ripples once, you will forever know that you can.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And then is there anything H2 Resolve wants to leave the audience with?
You have an offer, 5 people only. So it depends who's faster. You go to our website, h2resolve.com. That's h2 resolve.com/clockedin offer. And there's a book to call meeting button there. You get 1 hour with both of us, where we have also done prep work. You get free solutions to whatever your problems are. No strings attached. You write up what your problems are. And then we take time to look into them and propose solutions that you can implement on your own without having to hire us. This is completely for free. Now, if you decide that you don't have the time to implement these, but you see the value in implementing whatever it is, we can help you solve your problems. That now comes at a cost, but first one's for free.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited about that, and I hope everyone takes up the offer. I'm going to put that in the show notes. Helen and Hel, this has been fantastic, and I'm
Yeah.
so excited to put it out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Thank you for reaching the end of the podcast. For that, we'll give you a complimentary coaching session in the link below with Edwards Consulting. Hope to see you there, and have a great day, and keep clocking in.